Drop Dude John says, when I or people like me say unity, they really mean do as I say. I'm not so sure that's necessarily the case. And in ancient Greek philosophy, particularly in Plato's Republic, which I've spent so many years teaching it's absurd, the concepts of unity and disagreement are not only acknowledged but are seen as integral to the functioning of a just and coherent society. Plato's notion of symphrosyne, that is, harmonious order, it's the harmonious order that binds all the various parts of a good working republic or good working city, where each individual performs the role suited to their nature. Now, we don't necessarily have the idea of that sort of structured society today, but the idea that people can do different things and can have different opinions and yet be locked into the idea of a harmonious and a working society, that I think is what is built into the idea of Parliament. And Parliament, after all, goes back to the William the Conqueror idea to parley, to talk, to disagree, to debate, furiously if necessary, but with an understanding that we are committed to the same protection of the realm. It's a framework for understanding how unity can be maintained with diversity and with disagreement. Plato's Republic imagines an ideal society structured around three classes: the rulers, the philosopher kings, the auxiliaries or the warriors, and the producers, the farmers, the artisans, the workers, the bread makers, and so on. Each class has its own distinct role, and justice is achieved when each class performs its function without overstepping its bounds. It is possible to move between the classes, and but Plato isn't very clear about how that is achieved, and he's a bit contradictory when he gets into the details. But people have read various ideas into his book about mobility, social mobility. But essentially it's about a tripartite division which illustrates that unity is not the absence of difference, but rather the coordination of diversity, diverse roles, towards a common purpose, the good of the whole society. And disagreement in that context is inevitable and even necessary because it reflects the different perspectives and the interests inherent in each different class, in each different part of society. However, these disagreements don't threaten the unity as long as they are channeled through the appropriate structures of the polis, of the city, of politics. For instance, in Plato's ideal society, the philosopher kings who possess the knowledge of the forms and the good are tasked with resolving disputes and ensuring that each class remains focused on its own function. And this coordination allows the society to harness the strength of its diversity without descending into chaos or introspection. Symphrosyne. This is the term. I think this is more important, by the way, than the Matrix and all the Andrew Tate blue pill and red pill rubbish. Symphrosyne is a term that can be translated as moderation or balance, but it's crucial in a society. In the Republic, Plato argues that the health of the polis depends on each individual's adherence to their natural role. When a person or class performs their duty in a balanced manner, the result is a harmonious society. When that harmony is shattered, then the society disintegrates. And at the beginning of the book, he charts the various forms of disintegrated society, of which I'm afraid democracy is one. But let not that get in the way of a good presentation. So, for the purpose of this, I'm not going to pay too much attention to the degenerative societies. The idea is that Plato presents this concept that balance can coexist with diversity. And the idea extends to the resolution of disagreements. Plato and other Greek philosophers like Aristotle recognized that complete unanimity is neither possible nor desirable in a free society. Rather, symphrosyne ensures that differences are moderated and integrated into the larger harmony. For example, Aristotle's concept of politeia, a mixed government, which is what we've got really, acknowledges that various groups in society have different interests, but a just government will balance these through a system of checks and balances, thereby maintaining unity. That in a sense, is also the idea of Hobbes. In ancient Greek philosophy, the unity and disagreement are not mutually exclusive concepts. Instead, in a just and stable society, unity is achieved through the integration of diversity, each playing its different part to create, to add to the collective whole. And disagreement is not only natural, and it's also necessary. It's a necessary component of this process, providing it is managed within the framework of that values moderation particularly for Aristotle, and the common good. This focus on what is on the preservation and the maintenance of order. So riot, of course, is out of the question. And this is why all governments and all politicians should respect the rule of law, because the rule of law is what politics produces. That's the product. That's the product that that comes out of Parliament. It's not the waste product, it's the actual product. And in a modern democratic culture, the right to disagree is a cornerstone of political life. Yes, we may disagree about Brexit, but we go along with it because we want unity. In the hope that in a few years' time we can get together and vote again and have a different outcome. And the same thing is true in the United States with the election of Trump or Kamala Harris. And Obama was wise. He said it's going to be a close race. And partly because Trump doesn't respect the other side. And that lack of respect is infectious. We also see it today in reports about the police force, how so many black members of the police force have complained to the media about racism inherent in the police force. Of course it is. Of course it is, because the police force is interfacing with a society which is grimy and invested in wrongdoing, and that is infectious. So you always have to pull back from the illness and recommit to what is good, the goal. And that means we have to be prepared to disagree, to challenge, to redefine. And in Plato's vision, the survival of unity, the goal of the one, is there in the very concept. The survival of unity in the process of disagreement depends on the presence of this shared purpose and the structures necessary to mediate harmony within the context of conflicting views. The whole idea of Plato's philosophy is based on discussion and conflict, dialogue. And this nuanced view of unity and disagreement is central to the principles of civilization that have steered our society for, 6 centuries? It's not 6 centuries. 23 centuries. 24 centuries. It's it goes back to the ancient Greeks. And it also and Plato is based on Heraclitus and Parmenides, the idea that although things change, you can't step in the same river twice, nicely quoted by Pocahontas in the Disney film. At the same time, there is a principle of an unchanging reality that we're committed to. So we need to balance the commitment to the flourishing of individuals with the commitment to maintaining the society as a whole and this goal of the common good. So anyone who is elected to Parliament has a duty to the common good.